You know that terrifying moment when your mind goes completely blank? The words just won't come out and you feel a knot in your stomach? That was me, every single time I tried to speak English. My story starts with that paralyzing fear, and if you've ever felt it, you need to hear what transformed me from a silent observer into a confident speaker. Welcome, I'm Jessy, and this is the Fluent Mindset.
Thanks for having me back, Jessy. I'm truly thrilled about our discussion today. This is a challenge that I know, without a doubt, holds back countless language learners.
It absolutely does. They get trapped inside their own heads. Their internal monologue is a constant barrage of questions. Is this grammar correct? Did I pronounce that word right? Do I sound foolish? This fear becomes a giant wall that blocks them from simply opening their mouth and talking.
Exactly. And because of that intense fear, a huge number of learners end up hesitating to use their English at all. They remain silent. But I want to be very clear about something right now. Here is the fundamental truth we must accept. If your ultimate goal is to achieve fluency, you have no other choice. You must stop overanalyzing every single word, and you must begin to speak. It is non-negotiable.
That's the core of it. The sheer volume of your speaking practice is what directly leads to improvement. But the million-dollar question is, how? How do you break the cycle of overthinking? How can you possibly train your brain to communicate more naturally and with less internal chaos?
That is the exact journey we are going to take our listeners on today. So if you are someone who consistently hesitates, who feels that familiar panic before speaking English, you must stay with us. Do not click away. We're going to share with you some incredibly powerful strategies, practical exercises, and crucial changes in your mindset. These tools will empower you to speak English with a newfound confidence, leaving the overthinking behind.
Decisively. Let's not waste another second. Let's begin.
Now, before we dive headfirst into the solutions and all the positive changes, we must first fully understand the problem. We need to diagnose the illness before we can prescribe the medicine. So, Jessy, why is it that so many people who are learning English fall into this trap of overthinking before they speak? What is the fundamental force that prevents them from talking in a natural, fluid way?
That is a perfect starting point, Carl. I believe one of the most massive, overwhelming reasons is the deep-seated fear of failure, the fear of making an error. Learners are often consumed with thoughts like, what if I construct the sentence improperly? Or what if people actually laugh at me? This fear is so powerful that it convinces them that silence is a safer option than attempting to speak and potentially making a mistake.
Absolutely. And here's what is so ironic about the situation. Native speakers make mistakes constantly, all the time. They mispronounce words, they mix up their grammar rules, and they sometimes create sentences that are not perfectly structured. But the critical difference is this. They do not dwell on it. They do not overthink it. They just continue talking.
Right. But English learners often place an immense, almost unbearable pressure on themselves to speak with perfection. So they pause for too long. They correct themselves in the middle of a thought. And this constant self-interruption often results in them not saying anything at all. And that, right there, is the biggest problem of all. Because the only real, genuine path to improvement is through the active, consistent practice of speaking itself.
That is undeniably true. Another major reason why learners get stuck in the overthinking cycle is the habit of translating directly from their native language. Instead of allowing their brain to form thoughts and sentences naturally in English, they first construct a perfect sentence in their mother tongue, then they attempt to translate it word for word into English. Of course, this process is incredibly time-consuming, so by the time they have finally finished their internal translation, the conversation has already moved forward without them.
Yes, and that experience is profoundly frustrating. So they simply stop trying. Another very common issue is a simple lack of self-confidence. Some learners feel that their accent is not good enough, or they believe their vocabulary is too limited, so they choose to remain quiet. And this silence, this withdrawal, actively makes the problem worse. It's a vicious cycle. The less you speak, the more nervous and anxious you feel about the prospect of speaking.
Exactly. It becomes a self-reinforcing loop of overthinking and then actively avoiding English conversations. But here is the wonderful, hopeful news. You do not need to be perfect to speak English fluently. You simply need to be confident enough to keep talking, to persist. And that is precisely what we're going to help you achieve today.
Now that we've thoroughly explored the problem, it's time to shift our focus to the solution. Carl, why is speaking without that constant internal commentary so crucial for achieving fluency?
The fundamental reason, Jessy, is that fluency is born from practice, not from perfection. The more you speak, the faster your brain becomes at forming sentences naturally. If you're always stopping to mentally check every grammar rule and vocabulary word before you speak, you'll never develop the speed and fluidity that true confidence requires.
That's so accurate. Just consider how children learn their first language. They don't begin by studying verb conjugations, do they? They listen, they imitate, and they talk constantly, even when their words are a complete mess. And over time, through that very process, their speech refines itself naturally.
Exactly. And we, as adults, can learn in the very same way. The key is to stop waiting for your English to be perfect. You must speak as much as you possibly can, mistakes and all. That is the authentic, proven path to developing real fluency.
I always advise learners to adopt this mantra: speak first and fix the details later. If your primary focus while speaking is grammatical correctness, it will inevitably slow you down and make you sound hesitant. But if you just allow the words to flow and review any errors afterward, you will sound infinitely more natural.
And here's another critical point to remember. Native speakers are generally not focused on your small mistakes. If you can communicate your core idea clearly, they will understand you. People are not scrutinizing your every word nearly as much as you believe they are.
Absolutely. In fact, your relaxed and natural demeanor when speaking often conveys more confidence than perfect grammar ever could. Confidence is what truly makes people want to listen to you.
Let's be completely honest here. Native speakers make grammar mistakes all the time, but they don't let it derail them. They keep the conversation moving forward. And that is exactly what learners should strive to do. The more you practice speaking without constant self-imposed interruptions, the faster your skills will improve.
So the takeaway is clear. Thinking less and talking more is the key. And now it's time to get into the truly exciting part, the actionable strategies. Let's move on to some powerful, practical tips designed to help you stop overthinking and start speaking confidently.
I couldn't agree more. Now comes the most impactful segment of our episode: practical, real-world techniques to break the habit of hesitation. Jessy, let's kick it off with our first major tip. What is one powerful method to stop hesitating and just let the words flow?
One of the most effective strategies is to make a conscious effort to think in English instead of translating from your native language. If you're always converting sentences in your head before speaking, it creates a significant delay. However, if you train your mind to process thoughts directly in English, the words will emerge much faster and feel far more natural.
That is a fantastic piece of advice. A very simple way to practice this is to silently narrate your day in English. For instance, while you're preparing your morning coffee, think to yourself, I am grinding the coffee beans. The water is heating up. I am pouring the hot water into the French press. It's a brilliant way to weave English into the very fabric of your daily thinking.
And here's another vital tip. Learn to speak without an overwhelming worry about grammar. Of course, grammar has its important place, but during a live conversation, the primary goal is communication, not flawless accuracy.
Most of the time, people will understand the meaning of what you're saying, even if there is a minor grammatical error.
That is so true. If you become hyper-focused on grammar while you're speaking, you will inevitably pause too frequently, and that will shatter your confidence. But if you just continue talking, your brain will naturally begin to self-correct over time. It's a matter of building the muscle memory.
And speaking of building confidence, another excellent technique is to practice speaking with yourself. Many learners lament that they don't have a partner to practice with, but you always have yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and hold a conversation, or simply describe everything you see around you out loud. This will dramatically increase your comfort level with producing English speech.
I love that idea. It's about creating opportunities for practice wherever you are. This builds the essential foundation for when you do have a conversation with someone else. And building on that idea of self-practice, I want to introduce another incredibly effective technique, shadowing. This involves listening to a native speaker and immediately repeating what they say, mimicking their pronunciation, rhythm, and pace as closely as possible. It's one of the fastest ways to make your own speech sound more natural and automatic.
The best part is you don't need a formal teacher for this. You can use YouTube videos, podcasts, audiobooks, or even scenes from your favorite movies and TV shows. Just listen and repeat out loud. This method trains you to stop analyzing and start reproducing the natural flow of the language, building your muscle memory for English sounds and patterns.
And here's another profoundly simple yet powerful tip. Use straightforward sentences. Many learners hesitate because they're trying to build long, complex, perfect sentences right out of the gate. It's completely okay and often more effective to use short, clear statements. For example, instead of saying, "I would like to inquire about the possibility of scheduling a meeting," you can simply say, "Can we meet to talk?" Clarity and simplicity are always better than complicated perfection.
Absolutely. The primary goal in any conversation is to keep the exchange moving forward, not to deliver a grammatically impeccable speech. And this leads us to a crucial mindset shift. Do not fear mistakes. In fact, you must welcome them. Every single error you make is an integral part of your learning journey. If you are too afraid to make a mistake, you will never speak. And that in itself is the biggest mistake you can make.
Well said, Jessy. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are proof that you are learning, that you are pushing your boundaries and growing. They are the data points your brain uses to adjust and improve. And this brings me to another essential practice. Immerse yourself in English every single day. The more you listen to the language, the easier it will become to speak without overthinking. Listen to English podcasts during your commute, watch series in English with subtitles, and read articles online. Surround yourself with the language as much as possible.
Yes. The more English input your brain receives, the more it subconsciously absorbs the natural patterns, the common phrases, and the rhythm of the language. It's like feeding your mind the raw material it needs to produce speech naturally. And for our final tip in this segment, I recommend setting a personal speaking challenge for yourself.
I love that idea. For instance, challenge yourself to speak only English for 5 full minutes each day without stopping. It doesn't matter if you're talking to a pet, a mirror, or just recording yourself on your phone. If you can't find a specific word, don't stop. Paraphrase, use simpler words, or describe what you mean. The objective is to keep talking no matter what. This builds both fluency and resilience.
So, let's quickly recap these powerful tips. First, make a conscious effort to think in English. Second, don't let grammar worries paralyze you mid-sentence. Third, practice speaking aloud, even if it's just with yourself. Fourth, use the shadowing technique with media you enjoy. Fifth, prioritize simple and clear sentences. Sixth, reframe your perspective to see mistakes as valuable teachers. Seventh, immerse yourself in English daily. And eighth, set a regular speaking challenge to push your limits.
If you consistently apply these strategies, you will undoubtedly begin to speak English more naturally and with significantly less mental blockage. You are building the habits of a fluent speaker. And now, let's transition to putting this into immediate action with a practical exercise.
All right, it's time for a fun and incredibly practical exercise. We're going to challenge our listeners with a spontaneous speaking challenge. Carl, are you ready to get started?
Absolutely, Jessy. This is a brilliant way to help learners break the chain of overthinking and just start talking. So, how does this challenge work exactly?
Here are the simple rules. We will give you a topic, and your mission is to speak about it for a full 30 seconds without stopping. No long pauses, no going back to correct yourself, no overthinking, just a continuous flow of speech. If you can't recall a specific word, don't freeze. Describe it using other words or talk around it. The single most important goal is to keep the words coming, to maintain the momentum of the conversation.
That's the perfect approach. And Jessy, I think it would be very helpful if we demonstrated a quick example first so our listeners can hear exactly how it's done. Let's do a short role play to illustrate.
Great idea! Okay, Carl, your topic is describe your morning routine. You have 30 seconds starting now.
Okay, my morning routine. Well, every morning I wake up at around 6:30. The first thing I do is turn off my alarm and drink a large glass of water. Then I go for a short walk outside to get some fresh air and wake up properly. After that, I come back inside and make a cup of coffee. It's essential. While the coffee is brewing, I might check my emails quickly on my phone. Then I sit down with my coffee and plan my day, writing down my 3 most important tasks. That usually takes me to about 7:30, and then I get ready for work. That's basically it.
Awesome! That was perfectly fluid and natural. You didn't stop once, and even though you were thinking of the next thing to say, you kept going with fillers and simple phrases. It was clear and, most importantly, confident. That is exactly the goal we're aiming for.
Thank you. Now, Jessy, your turn. Your topic is your favorite hobby. Go for 30 seconds.
All right, my favorite hobby is, without a doubt, reading. I love getting lost in a good book. I usually read fiction, especially historical fiction, and sometimes science fiction. I try to read for at least 30 minutes every night before I go to sleep. It helps me to relax and unwind from the day. I also love visiting bookstores and libraries. There's a special feeling about being surrounded by so many stories. I'm part of a book club too, which is great because it lets me discuss what I'm reading with friends. So yeah, reading is my biggest hobby.
Perfect. You did exactly what we preach. You didn't stop, you kept going, even as you were forming your thoughts, and you communicated your ideas perfectly clearly. That is precisely what we want our listeners to practice.
Now it's your turn, listeners. Here is your challenge. We are going to give you 3 topics. You must choose one and speak about it for 30 seconds without stopping. Ready? Here are your topics. Topic 1, describe your favorite food. Topic 2, talk about your daily routine. Topic 3, describe a place you really want to visit. Pick one, take a deep breath, and start speaking. Remember, don't stop, don't overthink, just talk. If you don't know a word, describe it. Your 30 seconds starts now. And time. Great job. Seriously, if you gave it a try, you should feel proud. Even if you struggled, even if you felt a bit awkward, the very act of pushing through and speaking for those 30 seconds is a massive victory. That is the practice that will rewire your brain.
Exactly. It might have felt challenging, but remember this. The more you practice this specific exercise, the easier and more natural it will become. Your confidence will grow not from avoiding difficulty, but from conquering it repeatedly. The goal was never perfection, it was participation.
Now that we've worked on the practical technique, there's an even more fundamental layer we need to address. We've talked about how to speak, but to make it last, we need to talk about why you think the way you do. We need to reshape your mindset. If you don't believe you can do it, no amount of technique will stick.
That's a profound point, Jessy. The battlefield is often in the mind before it ever reaches the mouth. So let's dive into that. How can learners fundamentally shift their internal perspective to become more confident, resilient speakers?
Authoritatively. The first and crucial mindset shift is this. You must understand that confidence comes from action, not from waiting for a feeling. Many learners are trapped in the "I'll speak when I feel confident" loop. But the truth is, the feeling of confidence arrives after you have taken the action, not before. You have to speak first, and the confidence will follow.
That is such a powerful distinction. It means you cannot wait for the fear to go away. You have to act despite the fear. And this leads directly to the second mindset shift. You must actively stop aiming for perfection. A lot of hesitation comes from the belief that every sentence must be flawless. But here's the secret we mentioned earlier. Even native speakers are not perfect. So trade the thought, "I must be perfect," for "I must be understood." Communication is the true goal.
And this connects to the third shift. You have to change your relationship with mistakes. Instead of seeing an error as a failure that embarrasses you, you must learn to see it as a valuable piece of data. It is proof that you're learning, that you're venturing into new territory. If you never make a mistake, it means you're not challenging yourself enough. Your mistakes are your guides.
I love that. See mistakes as feedback, not failure. And the fourth mindset shift is to stop the destructive habit of comparing yourself to others. It's so easy to think, my friends speak so much better than me, or I'll never sound like a native speaker, but that comparison is a trap. The only person you should be competing with is the person you were yesterday. Ask yourself, am I better than I was last week? If the answer is yes, you are winning your own race.
That's the only comparison that matters. And for our fifth and final mindset shift for this segment, you must learn to embrace discomfort. Speaking a new language will feel awkward and uncomfortable at first. That is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're doing it right. Growth and comfort do not coexist. Confidence is built every single time you choose to step outside your comfort zone.
So let's recap these 5 transformative mindset shifts. 1. Confidence is a result of action, not a prerequisite. 2. Pursue communication, not perfection. 3. Reframe mistakes as learning data. 4. Compare yourself only to your past self. And 5. Actively embrace the feeling of discomfort as a growth signal.
If you can internalize these 5 principles, you will have built a mental foundation that makes speaking English feel not like a terrifying test, but like an exciting journey of discovery. Before we bring today's episode to a close, we want to leave you with our most heartfelt encouragement. Learning English is a journey, a marathon, not a sprint. There will be days that feel frustrating, where the words won't come and that old fear tries to creep back in. In those moments, I want you to remember this. Every single time you open your mouth and speak, you are improving. Even if it feels messy, even if you make 3 mistakes in one sentence, you are growing. You are moving forward.
And this is the most important takeaway of all. Do not wait for the perfect moment to start speaking. That perfect moment is a myth. The perfect moment is right now, today, exactly where you are. If you keep waiting for the right conditions, more vocabulary, better grammar, less fear, you will remain stuck in the same place. But if you speak today, even if it's just one sentence, you will be further ahead tomorrow than you are today. That is a guarantee.
And please do not let fear be your jailer. So many learners are trapped by thoughts like, what if people laugh at me? Or what if I say something wrong and look foolish? But here is the profound truth. Most people are not judging you. They are admiring you. They respect the courage it takes to speak another language. They are focused on understanding your message, not on critiquing your prepositions.
And I want to look directly through this microphone and say this to every single listener.
You are capable. You are intelligent enough to learn this language. You are strong enough to overcome this challenge. You already possess everything you need inside you to succeed. The only missing ingredient is to give yourself permission to try, to fail, to learn, and to try again.
So our final message to you is this: believe in yourself. Take that first action, however small, and never, ever stop learning. English fluency is not a distant dream. It is a reality waiting for you to claim it. Go get it, and know that we are right here cheering for you every step of the way.
If you found value in this episode, please practice the spontaneous speaking challenge we did today. Make it a daily habit. Keep pushing yourself and never stop. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll be tackling another major hurdle for learners: understanding native speakers when they talk fast.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. Remember our mantra: stop thinking, start talking. Keep practicing and stay confident. We believe in you. See you next time.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep speaking.